Welcome, everyone, to our wonderful, exciting, mindset changing webinar uh, with TAP and Healy partnering together. This webinar on questions and hesitations, the art of handling objections, is one of my favorites. It is awesome. And so I hope you guys have a wonderful time. I am your producer, Jody, and I'm only going to talk just for a minute and then I'm going to give it to Shannon. But I wanted to just to let you know about a couple of things before we get started so that you're aware, just in case this might be your very first time here. And so a really big welcome to all of you who've joined us already. We want to let you know today that the chat is open and available for you to use to chat with each other. I'll do my very best to kind of monitor the chat and watch. Sometimes I'm in the middle of doing something else and I'm not able to respond, so please be patient with me. But why don't you? We've got a couple of hellos in there. People are letting us know. Sorry, I paused for a second because Claire is in Malta. Wow. Okay. I feel like I would like to hear that story. Anyway, welcome to those of you who are here. If you want to open the chat, and yeah, the rest of you who haven't already, let us know where you're calling in from today. We'd love to know. So the chat is available. Now, if you have a question about something that Shannon's going to be talking about in the session today, or even something else that's more for Healy, we may not always have the answers to those immediately, but we have activated the Q&A feature. So if you have a question that you would like answered that is specifically related to today's webinar, or maybe even something else that you would like training on, please use the Q&A feature. Don't put it in the chat because we don't always go back and check that. So use the Q&A. Now, we may not be able to answer those questions live during the session today, but what we do is we take those questions back to our TAP team and to Healy, and we do our best to make sure that in future sessions that we can answer those questions for you, provide the support you're asking for. Okay, so that's the Q&A. We also wanted to say hello, of course, to the fact that we have multiple languages with us, usually in every session. So we do have a Spanish interpreter available today, and so please, we hope that that works very well for you. We do our best to do that in chat as well, but sometimes our interpreter is not always able to interpret that. And so again, we appreciate your patience and thank you with that. And the last thing I will mention is that our session is being recorded today. And so please know that after the session, it may not be immediately today, but hopefully today, if not tomorrow, you will get this posted up online. In a couple of minutes, I will put some helpful tips into chat for you so that you know where you can access not only today's recording, but all of the previous recordings that we have done so far. Because if you've missed them, you have missed out a little. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it to Shannon. Have a wonderful session. And I'm here to assist you in the background if I can. Have a great session.
Thank you so much, Jody. It is such a pleasure to be with you again. I might have spent some time with you if you were in the call on Saturday. We were sharing a little bit about our webinars and what we do in our webinars and the type of content we share, but I also shared some really great information about some new calls that we are launching in January. So we'll talk a little bit about that on the tail end of this session. But today, really quick session together, but really packed with really good information on hesitations and questions that we often get when we are trying to share Healy. And we really want to help you hone the skills around handling those types of objections and making sure that you feel comfortable and confident sharing Healy, because we know each of you have a deep desire to share Healy, share what it's done for you. We want to get that out into the hands of as many people as we possibly can. And so that's what today's session is really about, is being able to handle some of those harder questions that come our way. And not always are we comfortable with it. So let's wrap our heads around it so that we can walk out really confident. I hope that sounds okay today. So before we get started, I'm going to ask you this. If you've been in my webinars before, I'm going to ask you on a scale of 1 to 5, how did you show up today? I asked for 2 reasons. Sorry for those of you who have heard this 8 times already, but we asked for 2 reasons. One is for me. How do I meet you where you're at? I'll try to be as engaging and entertaining and exciting as I possibly can. But I also, and more importantly, need to ask you, because it's not until we reflect on how we show up into a space or with different people or in a room like this where we can actually move that marker. So if you are feeling poor, if you're somewhere in that neutral zone, take a moment and give yourself permission to be here. This is about empowering you. This is about giving you moments and opportunities to learn and grow. And I would say, quite confidently, actually, that every session that we bring to Healy has a lot of value and a lot of meat in it. And I want you to be able to walk away with that feeling great about what you're doing and how you're sharing, and feeling more and more powerful as you go along that learning journey. So thank you so much for that. We've got a big range
I'm
of
gonna,
how people are showing
I
up.
haven't
Yeah.
ended the poll yet. Let me give 5, 4,
Okay.
3, 2, 1, and I'm ending the poll so that you guys can see it. Let me do that because I want to make sure I share the results. There you go. So now you
Awesome.
should be able to see them.
Thank you so much, Jody. I think it's important for us to be able to hear from you. I know a webinar is not always the most, two-way conversation that happens, but these little things that we do when we ask you to put things in the chat, when we ask you to respond to a poll like this, gives us a feeling of we're not here just talking to, a blank space or a black screen. So I really do appreciate when you take part in those. Thank you so much. All right. So like I said, there's some opportunities for us to change our mindset, maybe let go of some of the things, the competing priorities that you have, and give yourself permission to be here, because today's going to be a great session. Thank you so much, folks. Okay, so let's talk about sales objections. All right. So, what are they? What exactly is a sales objection? And are they bad for business? Do you dread it when people start asking questions, when they seem hesitant, especially if they're hard questions? In any sales industry, let alone in our sales channel, answering questions and addressing hesitations is really, really important, and it's a valuable part of the sales process. And really, an objection comes down to any question, concern, or barrier that might hinder someone, not just from making a purchase, but actually being open to hearing about Healy and what we have to offer, and how this might enhance their lives. So what we do know, though, is oftentimes if objections, questions, hesitations go um, unanswered or not acknowledged, people will not necessarily move forward. Questions are totally normal, and they're good, actually, because what it does is it creates an opportunity for people to learn and be more confident about their purchase or their partnership. And so we want to make sure that that we're answering those questions and hesitations. Okay, so let's dive in a little bit. Hesitations and questions, of course, not just common, but completely normal. If someone hasn't already purchased a Healy, or seems interested in the business but still hasn't joined your team, they may still have unanswered questions. Until enough of those questions are answered, they may not feel comfortable, and they might continue to hesitate. So let's talk for just a moment about the consumer journey. Now, you have seen some of this content before, and I have shared with you when we first launched our program that what we want to do is we want to build on your knowledge. So this is a quick reminder that if you haven't seen those previous webinars, please take some time to go in and view them and listen to them, because this content will help you build um, a real confidence in the way in which you share Healy, the way in which you walk along with your customer. So when a consumer is looking at a product, what we know about that process, it's called the consumer journey or the consumer process. They begin to develop some awareness about the product. And then their interest may be piqued, especially if they're happening to research a solution. So they may look more into not just the benefits, the solutions, they may look into how the business is run. We start to look at how the modern consumer really purchases and how they buy. And so they'll start to look and research that solution. And then, of course, they consider it. And they may consider it along with other solutions. So they may look at Healy, but they may look at other things as well. And then they come to a decision whether they're going to purchase, whether they're going to purchase something else, whether they're not going to purchase at all. But once they come to that decision and they've decided on what they'll do, they will actually evaluate that decision. And hopefully, in a perfect world, they have chosen to partner with us and to purchase their Healy and to really understand what Healy can do in their lives and in betterment for their wellness journey. And they hopefully will become loyal, not just loyal, but they'll advocate. So they will share their experience with other people. That provides an opportunity for us to, of course, reach more people. Now, as a network marketer, however way you see it, Healy member, as someone who has the ability to get the Healy into the other people's hands, what we want to be doing is we want to walk alongside them. So there is also a journey for us. And again, I've shared this in previous times with you, but I think it's really important for us to remind ourselves of that journey before we jump into answering questions and hesitations. They make a connection, or sorry, we make a connection with the person. We begin to hopefully ask questions, be curious, discover whether there's a need. And once we've discovered a need, hopefully what we're doing is we're sharing. We're sharing about what we believe or how we believe that we can help solve that problem or resolve an issue. And that's when we should be actually addressing questions. It's actually part of our journey as Healy members, as people who care about getting Healy to into other folks' hands. So it is part of our process, and we need to be walking alongside our customer. We can't avoid them. Yeah, of course, sometimes when people ask questions, maybe if we're not feeling prepared or we don't know how to answer them, that can make us feel uncomfortable. And in fact, I would say that this is part of the reason why people may decide or be hesitant about joining the business because they don't know how to answer those questions. So once we've answered the questions, of course, we can then help with a decision and support them. And hopefully, in a perfect world, we want to be building loyalty with that customer. And so we've said before, we said it in our previous conversations, that a modern sales system should be really built on 4 principles. And this is just a reminder. We're going to connect with them. We're going to learn from them. Then we're going to help them learn by advising and serving them. It's quite a simple process, but it's long term. It's not just a, one quick connection and then all of a sudden, it's done and over. No, as a really valuable partner with our customers, we should not just be connecting, learning, then advising, then dropping them. No, we need to continue to serve them. And so as a direct sales professional, a network marketer, however way you see yourself and whatever title you want to give yourself, Healy member, lover of Healy, any of those things, however way you want to define yourself, your main objectives really are to sell those products and services. If you're building a business, now again, I know that there are people here who are not interested in building a business. That's okay. But if you are wanting to build a business, you want to build a stable team, and then essentially you help them do 1 and 2 over and over again. So in order for us to do that, we need to be able to build a stable team, and not just a stable team, but a stable, sustainable, long-term business. We need to answer questions, and we need to be able to handle those objections as they come along. So there's really 2 sides. Simple, not always easy, but it is fairly simple. You discover what the real objection is, and you learn how to object. address them. Now, we may go in and perhaps you're here because you're like, oh, I hate it when someone asks me questions. I don't know how to handle it. It might be a little bit intimidating. Maybe you feel like you don't know enough people, or maybe you're not necessarily super comfortable talking to strangers. What we want to do is we really want to help you understand what's important to your customers. So we're going to look at that, but we're also going to need to understand what our mindset is when we go into understanding our customer. Okay. So we often either come in with a very positive attitude or a very negative one. And sometimes we can kind of teeter on both sides of that seesaw, right? Hearing a no, experiencing those objections that come your way is not rejection. So I'm going to say that again. Just because you hear a no does not necessarily mean someone's rejecting you or Healy. It's simply feedback. Now, if you look at it as feedback, what should we be doing with feedback, folks? What should we be doing with it? We should be actioning it, right? I mean, how many times have you given a survey or given answers or feedback to somebody, and then you wonder, what did they do with that feedback? Did they do anything with it? Well, we would hope so. So what your customer is doing, or your prospect is doing, or your friend or family member, or the person that you met in the grocery store, what they're doing when they ask a question is they're giving you feedback. It really is not a no. It may be a no right now. It may be, I need to know more. And most likely that's what it is. So what is your mindset? Do you kind of go in with that? I hope they don't ask too many questions. I hate having to defend Healy. I hate having to defend network marketing. I hate having to defend myself and my choices. Or the worst is, if they have questions, they must not be interested. So not true. If people have questions, they just need to know more. Okay. So if you have a positive mindset around objections, this is what it might sound like. I'm glad they have questions. It actually shows they're engaged, and it shows that they're interested. And asking questions gives me a chance to now, with permission, show how great my Healy device is, how great the community of Healy is, how great a business opportunity it is. When we start looking at it with that positive mindset, we begin to have much more positive experiences with the people that we're sharing Healy with. So what are the things that you can learn from objections? Well, let me share that with you. In fact, why don't I ask you the question? Why don't you go ahead, open up your chat, and you tell me what you think you can learn from objections. There you go. Thank you, Elisa. That's fantastic. Treat objections as requests for further information. I love it. So what are the things that you think you can learn? Think about the questions people have asked you. What their fears are or their needs. Marianne, excellent answer. Any other guesses on what we might be able to learn from objections? Or have objections gotten you stuck? Have you started to think about, oh gosh, I don't know what I need to do here? And so it gets you stuck, and you don't actually begin to look at what they can come or what you can get from it. They don't know how it works. Yeah, that's definitely a question. And so that gives you what, Claire? Gives you an opportunity. It gives you an opportunity to learn and to share. I know we have some of those answers in Spanish. I don't have my ability to see what they are. They talk to wrong people for advice. Oh, that's a really good point, Claire. So they might have talked to somebody else and they've been given not good information. They've been misinformed. So this gives us another opportunity to share. Let me share some of the other things that folks can learn. You can learn, all right? They might need more information. They're still not clear on the value. Maybe they're like, oh, this is a bit expensive for me. I don't really see the value. Gives you an opportunity to show what the value is. Oh, here's another one. I don't know if I trust you. Now, I said, if you attended last month's webinar, I talked about trust. I talked about what things that are necessary to build trust. And what we understood was trust was integral to selling. Trust is integral to doing business. Trust is integral for us at Healy. And so if they don't know if they can trust you, if you haven't built a relationship with them, then that's okay. That means you just have a little bit more work to do. Let me go back to the chat and see, I've got some answers coming in. Claire says to stay in a positive state when giving rejection. From Catalina, or Catalina, not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but it allowed me to deepen my own knowledge, and authority does that, though. It certainly does. When we get objections, we begin to realize the things that we don't know, and that's okay. That is totally okay. We don't always have to answer in the moment. I mean, we should try, and we'll talk about when we should be answering objections in a minute. But it also gives us an opportunity where we may ourselves uncover some blind spots or some maybe areas of growth. So that's really great. Jody, thank you for that. How to be able to investigate and be able to to answer correctly another day if I don't know the answer. They watch the people on YouTube who refute. Yeah, it can happen, Jolynn. It certainly can. Here's some other ones on the right side of the slide that you see. I need to chat with someone before I commit. Do you remember what we talked about in prospecting? And if you were there Saturday, I actually reminded you of this as well. I said that oftentimes people, especially the modern consumer, they're looking to find out what their friends think or people that they respect think. They're looking for online reviews. They're looking to see what other people are saying. So another good reason for us to be on social media and saying good things, right? Maybe they don't know how it all works. Maybe this is their first exposure to frequencies and energies, and understanding of something like this might enhance their lives. Maybe they're skeptical. Maybe they've tried other things and those other things have not helped. And now they're like, I don't know if I'm ready to spend more money or invest my time and effort into learning a new solution. What's really beautiful about these is it gives us something to work with. It actually shows us exactly how to do our jobs when it comes to becoming a Healy member. I also liked your comment, Marianne. Many people do think it's woo-woo, right? But once we get that information, we can then really understand, okay, they need more science-based information. I'll get that for them. That's not a problem. There's tons of information for us to back up what we're saying. But this one particular person may need that. And so you may need to dig, or you might need to have something on hand or have that knowledge in your head. Look, I'm not saying you have to know it all before you share Healy. Certainly, I would not want you to wait for you to know it all, because there'll always be something new for us to learn and for us to discover. But what we do want you to do is be prepared to go into conversations. Maybe you have someone that you can ask those questions to. Perhaps it's your upline, maybe it's your sales folks at Healy, your corporate staff. So you want to make sure. And yes, we do have some resources, Ali. Perhaps, Elisa, you might be able to address Ali's question there. I try not to answer the questions while I'm going through, but I've got it open on my screen, and I do love to see that you have questions, and you definitely want to be connected with some of that information. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, let's keep going. Okay. Now, this is something you saw in last month's session because it's completely and utterly connected. Prospecting, connecting with consumers, bringing them through a consumer journey, and answering questions is really all part of the same process. And we have to remind ourselves that the goal of prospecting is not to corner or trick every person into listening to a presentation. It's really about First of all, identifying a need and being able to solve it, but seeing an interest and questions, objections, hesitations are all signs that people want to know more. Think about it. If you truly don't care about something, you're likely just to, let it roll off your, you roll over your shoulders or roll off your back and just move on, right? What we want to do is just make sure that we remind ourselves that prospecting, walking people through a consumer journey is not linear. Different people will have different needs. Therefore, they will have different objections or different questions. And what you want to be doing is just making sure that you are answering the questions that they have, okay? In order to answer questions, though, you need to give people an opportunity to ask them. The most successful people are those that listen more than they talk. I've said this before. Many people come to our webinars and they want that step-by-step prospecting system that's going to guarantee that someone else is going to join Healy in some way, shape, or form. But there are no magic pills. Or the magic pill is intention. It is building relationships. It is answering tough questions. It is giving people an opportunity to share their feelings about what you were sharing with them. Don't go in and bombard them with all your words and then walk away without them having an opportunity to first process. So some people will come to you with questions immediately. Think about it. Think about how you are in exchanges. Are you the person who thinks of the perfect thing to say after the person's walked away? Or are you that witty person who's on the ball and answering and asking things in the moment? Remember, your consumers, the people that you're talking to, prospects, friends, family, loved ones, people that you want to help, may need time to process. And that's really important for us to remember, because people may have questions in the moment, but I want you to remember that it's also important to follow up with someone, even if they've just said, thanks for the information, and then they go on their way. Call them up, say, do you have any questions? Do you have any hesitations? What have you been thinking about since you and I chatted last? This is a way for us to just not follow up, but uncover what some of those objections might be so that we can address them. So my question next, I'm going to ask, I believe Jody's got a poll for us. When do you think is the best time to address questions or hesitations? Please, please, please. Give us your answers in the poll.
I've launched a poll. Go ahead and answer the best thing you know how to answer. And in a minute, I will put the responses in. Shannon, I'll let you know when I end the poll.
Okay, thank you. We're seeing some of those answers come in.
Yeah. Right, we've got about 30% of our participants have responded. Let's see if we can get a little bit more for those who can. And you know what? If you, for some reason, you can't answer the poll live, you can put it into the chat as well, what your answers are. So we want to hear what you have to say. All right, well, 40%. Should we do 10 more seconds?
All right, let's do it.
10, 9, 5, 4, 3, 2 anymore, 1. All right, I'm going to end the poll and I'm going to share the results.
All right.
Hear what people think.
Thank you so much.
All right.
So with the answers that we received from you folks, most of you have said at the time they asked, that's the best time. Some of you are like before they ask, and maybe one or two of you are the next time you meet with them. Well, there's no wrong time to answer a question. However, there is a best time to answer a question. And I'm going to tell you what that is. The answer is the best time to ask a question is before they ask. Now, you might be saying, Well, how am I supposed to answer a question or address an objection before they've expressed it? Well, here's the thing, folks. There are so many common questions and hesitations. Why not address those concerns ahead of time? You can do that with a video, brochure, infographic, Q&A, social media, email, webinar, conversation. Like, there's so many ways in which we can connect with our consumers and with our prospects and with people who we want to share Healy with. And so if you can address as many of those common things ahead of time, it helps the person who's learning about Healy not make a snap judgment. There's something called the principle of consistency. I don't know if you've ever heard of this. This is really where people find it difficult to change an opinion that they have said out loud. I hate network marketing. Now I don't want to be, being involved in a network market. So what if I've said that in the past? I don't believe in frequencies. I think it's woo-woo, like we heard earlier. If people are saying these things, then oftentimes it's very difficult to get them to kind of change their minds. So what we want to do is get out there with as much information as possible so that people are not formulating that opinion before we even have that discussion. So we can do that by addressing the first time we meet them and we talk about Healy. We can share a little bit of that information. We can share places where they can find more information. We can connect them with other experts. We can share our own personal stories. I mean, stories are a great way to help people understand the benefits and to understand that, wait, this person, this human that I'm connecting with has had a really great experience. Maybe I should reserve my judgment till I learn more. People want to be seen as consistent. So once someone speaks an opinion in your presence, it might be more difficult to change your mind. So by answering questions and addressing these hesitations or objections before they verbally commit, they are more likely to form a positive opinion about your product. That's very important for us to understand, because that means that we are out there proactively teaching, sharing, giving people the opportunities. And again, you're not going to know every question that comes along, but you are going to know some of the common ones. And in fact, I'm going to share 7 of the most common that we see in network marketing as an industry. I'm going to give you this information so you know to be prepared. I'm even going to give you the opportunity to take some screenshots of some really great ways to answer some of those objections in a few minutes. Okay. So I won't leave you here going, oh, it's great. I know I need to answer these questions, but Shannon didn't give me anything to work with. We are going to give you something to work with. Okay. Just be patient. Hold on for just a moment. Okay. So do you remember what we've learned in more than one of our webinars, but certainly the one in the last one that we did on prospecting, the importance of trust? I hope so. And if you don't remember or you didn't see it, I'm really going to encourage you to go back one, at least listen to that one again, because trust is integral to our business. It is integral to your ability to get Healy into the hands of those who need it. If you're not out there building trust, let me tell you something. The higher the risk, the higher the resistance. And when you have trust with someone out there, it feels low risk and it feels safe. And when mistrust comes into the equation, it becomes high risk. It feels threatening. It feels like, what if I get duped? What if I get, misled? What if I get misinformation? So don't rush the process, folks. Don't be so excited about your business or getting people, into the Healy family that you forget the integral part that must come first. That's trust. Listen, you're not always going to be able to answer the questions during your first connection. Remember, people process information at different speeds and at different levels. So some will take longer. They'll come back with questions. Some need lots of detail, and some need only a little. They just want to know the overview. I happen to be one of those people. I'm a big picture thinker. Before I dive into the details, I actually want to know the overview. I just want to have a big picture in my hand. This is the product. This is what it does. This is how it's going to help. Now, some other people are like, I need to know the science behind, I need to, and they tend to go into a bit of a rabbit hole. What you want to do is you want to give just enough information to pique their interest, address as many objections as you can before the period, so prior to. And then what you want to do is you want to continue building trust with that customer, that prospect, that family member, that person that you've met and you want to share Healy with. We want you to be building trust with them, understanding that you are a safe place for them. And a really great way to do that is say things like, I'm really glad you asked that question. So many people don't. And it doesn't give me the opportunity to share what I know about Healy. I can see you thinking about things like network marketing. I understand you've had a poor experience or you read something online. I'm really glad that you told me about that because I'd like to share some other opinions. I'd like to share some other people's experiences. That's it. That feels trustworthy to me. That feels like, wow, this person is like not trying to hide it. They're not trying to slam the person who said it. They're like, everybody's open to their own opinions. And yeah, you can have bad experiences or poor experiences. I just want the opportunity to build a relationship with you so that you can understand that my experience has been different. Here's another one, another great sentence starter. I'm hearing that you're concerned about this. That validates people. That makes people feel heard. Now, what did I tell you? Anyone remember in some of my previous talks what I've told you, what the modern workforce, the modern consumer wants? Anyone? I'm going to go in the chat and see if anyone remembers what they really, really want. I won't spend too much time because still got lots of information to go through. Here, I'll tell you what it is. They want to feel heard. They want to feel understood. That is who we are dealing with. A group of consumers who actually want to feel heard and they want their questions and hesitations addressed. Companies, people who do that well, do very well. Most objections come from being uninformed or wrongly informed. And when you connect with people, when you understand and educate, this is how you are going to create trust. Like I said, people want to feel heard. If you hear any concerns or objections, it is super important to acknowledge them. So first, acknowledge, all right? Don't skirt it. Don't ignore it. Don't pretend you didn't hear it. Don't sidetrack the conversation into something else just because you don't know how to handle it. Pause. It's a really great question. Now, if you know the answer, please share it, okay? But if you don't, that's okay. Say, you know what? I'm not quite sure how to answer that. I'm going to chat with Sally, my upline, Elisa, Adriana. Like I'm going to talk with someone and I'm going to get that information for you. There's nothing that's going to break trust in saying, I don't know the answer. That shows transparency. That shows authenticity. And that shows also that to do this business, you don't have to know all the answers. It is okay to not. People want to be respected. So again, here's those sentence starters. If you're thinking about it, I'm glad you asked that question. I can see that you're thinking about these things, and I'm hearing that you're concerned with this. One of the biggest hesitations in direct sales, network marketing, multi-level marketing, is this fear of pushing, pestering, pressuring their family, friends, or others into this existing network of relationships. And we at TAP, and I think I said this last time too, we believe that when it's done right, when you are absolutely out there, genuinely connecting with people, it can feel really great for you, but it can also feel really great for them. If you don't answer and you don't acknowledge, people will start to raise their eyebrows. They will start to kind of go, why didn't they answer my question? Do they not know? Do they not care? They're going to start asking all kinds of questions. Okay. So answer those questions so more questions don't come your way. And those questions might be harder. People want to feel understood. I've said this already. Practice active listening. Okay. So I said this. I said it earlier. I said, great people who see success in network marketing and in sales in general listen more than they talk. Validate their concerns. And a really great way to validate concerns is to get shared understanding. The way in which you get shared understanding is by repeating back what they said, but not just the words that they've said, but the sentiments of what they said. I'm picking up that you are concerned that this is network marketing and you're not sure how you feel about it. Can we talk about that a little bit? Right? Make sure that you're picking up what they're laying down. Now, they may say, actually, no, my sister is really successful in a different network marketing company. I just don't know if I'm, into frequencies. Okay, then let's talk about that then. Get that shared understanding. Don't make assumptions, okay? Get really clear. Clarify the details, clarify the expectations, clarify the objections. And when you are addressing an underlying reason, be confident but gentle, okay? So be really respectful. Don't come at them and say, you're wrong. Don't come at them and say, that's a silly concern. No, validate them. Be super respectful when you're talking to people. Listen, I know it's hard not to defend what we're doing. It's hard not to understand why people don't always understand what we're doing here at Healy. But I want you to understand that the second someone's defense mechanism goes up, so if you start getting accusatory, making assumptions, being too direct, not being respectful, what happens as humans, and I've been in the learning industry for a couple of decades, what happens to them is their defense mechanism rises. Okay, so it goes up. When your defense mechanism is up to here, you cannot learn. You need to keep that defense mechanism down. So keep the defense mechanism down. When defense mechanism goes up, your ability to learn goes down. Love it, love it, love it. So see those objections as an opportunity to learn what someone needs and what really matters to them. You want to build trust, because when you have that trust, you're able to now address this in a way where they're not going to get defensive. Remember what your biggest goal is. It's not to win. It's not to win an argument. It's not to be right about network marketing. It's not to be right about frequencies and Healy. It's to help people. You don't need to be right. Forget about that part. Go in with a genuine desire to answer their questions as best as you possibly can, with a smile on your face and with genuine care, and they will trust you. Again, just to reiterate this, the way to effectively respond to objections is with understanding, with education, and with information. So how do you get that? Well, there's a few ways you can get this. You can tell stories, giving examples to describe how the product has helped you or somebody else. You can make a demonstration. You can show them how it works. You can quote facts and research. You can, some of you share your Healy and you have a Healy that people try out. That's a really great way to do it. Also giving them time. You don't need that answer immediately. You can give them time. If you give them time and you respectfully answer a question, you're absolutely one step further and one step closer to getting Healy into the hands of the people that need it. But some of us don't always give the real reason. Let's talk about the real objection. I love this. Will the real objection please stand up? Did you know that the first objection you hear is only the real objection about half the time? So I need you to know this, okay? The reason why I need you to know this is because it is imperative that you don't take that first objection as the real objection, okay? So what you want to be doing when someone says, hey, I don't I don't, I'm not into network marketing. Okay. Or I think that this is a pyramid scheme, or I don't believe that frequencies work, or I don't believe Healy is a good product, or they come up with, or I'm not sure if it's worth the money. What you want to do then is you want to ask them more questions. Tell me more. Hey, if I could show you that it might solve your problem, would you be ready to give this a chance? In other words, if it wasn't for the money, would you be happy to try Healy? If I could share with you the value and help you meet a few people who've used Healy and they could share their experiences with you, especially because that happens to be the issue that you'd like to solve or the problem you'd like to solve, would you be interested in hearing more? See, this is the way that you can really truly understand them and build trust. Okay. So let's talk about the real objection. Here we go. I've got some examples on the slide for you. Okay. So we've got this consumer, somebody who might be, talking with you and you're trying to share Healy and they're saying it's too expensive. All right. It's priced really competitively, very close to other similar products. Well, I don't think it's too expensive, but my partner will. Okay. The spoken objection was it's too expensive. The real objection is I don't need to convince one person that Healy is a great value. I need to convince two. Okay. So now that's giving you information. All right. Let's look on the other side. It's too expensive. We're using the example of clothing. Okay. So the consumer is thinking this mediocre tank top is not worth my fight with my partner. Consumer sees the $300 jeans that are going to make her butt look good. Consumer says, I'll take the jeans. Consumer is thinking the tank top's not worth it, but those jeans are worth the fight. You see? So sometimes what we need to understand is what is it? What solution are we going to provide? All right. Let's look at some more examples. It's too expensive. You say, did you know that you can cover the cost of your kit? Now, I know that we're not using kits right now. This is just another direct sales example, but you can start making money right away. So this is a way in which you can pay for your Healy. It's not really the money. I just don't think I can sell. Now we've got the real objection. Now we talk about actually selling becomes very easy when you understand the benefits because you're just sharing. You're just sharing what you love. You're not going to, we're never going to ask you to be pushy. We're not going to ask you to pester people. We're not going to ask you to do things that you're truly uncomfortable with. We will give you the support you need. We'll give you the information you need. Customer says it's too expensive. Did you know that you can cover the cost of your kit, making money right away? Now we might be actually getting somewhere with this one who says, actually, really, I'm not that interested. This one in particular might be, actually, that's true. They don't see the value in the moment. Now, it doesn't mean that you never follow up with that customer, but in the moment, maybe it's time to give a little bit of a step back. This person's not interested. Maybe we keep them on social media. We reach out to them in 6 months. We do these things to keep people involved and know that the connection was not just to sell. All right. All right. So be patient. Ask lots of clarifying questions so that you can get to the real issues. That's really, really key when it comes to objections. Okay. So we've got about 10 minutes left, and I've promised you that I'm going to give you some tools that you can help so that it can help you really answer some of these objections that might come your way. So first and foremost, I'm going to share sort of 7 typical network marketing objections that come up over and over with all of our clients. They're all saying the same thing. Okay. And so what I want to do is I want to share those with you, and then I'm going to show you some screens. Now they're a little bit text heavy. Actually, they're a lot text heavy. But what I will say is, by all means, take a screenshot. I don't mind at all, because that's going to give you some really great ways in which you can think and the questions you need to ask if you find that you're dealing with this particular objection over and over again, or it's an objection that you never really know how to quite answer. Okay, so here we go. All right, stick with me. Have your, your screenshot or your pic, however you're going to take your photo, have it ready because we're going to go through them quickly. First and foremost, these are the 7 typical objections that we get in a lot of network marketing spaces. Okay, value. So we don't think it's a value. The value is good. Okay, so maybe it's not good quality. Maybe it's too expensive for the particular equipment or product. Then it's price. And price can have many different facets to it. So it can be, right now, I don't have that money. So I don't even, my partner would not agree with me doing this. So it means that there's going to be a little bit of conflict. Maybe I have other needs that come first. And so right now I don't have the money, but I might have it later. So there's many different things when it comes to price. Okay. Timing, maybe the timing is just not right. Perhaps right now they're going through something. Maybe they're, I don't know, they're dealing with a breakup. Okay. And they feel overwhelmed with that. And right now they're just not in the headspace to make a decision like this. Okay. Maybe they're using something different to solve that problem. And so they may say, well, no, I'm doing this instead. Now, it may not be another frequency device. It may be medications. It may be practices. It may be therapy. There might be all kinds of things that they're doing. Maybe it's reading and filling their heads with knowledge or meditation. There's many different things that they may be doing to solve the problem that they have. And so you need to understand that. There is the brush off. Now, the brush off is a lack of interest. Now, again, don't take no as a no as a no. It might just mean a no as a not now. Okay. Negative press. We all know that this can get in the way, right? So if there's negative press or the network marketing no. And what I mean by that is, nope, I think this is a pyramid scheme. I think this isn't a legitimate way. I think that, blah, 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 whatever it is about MLMs, direct sales, network marketing, they have that objection. These are the ones that really stand out to us. Okay. So what do you do? Right? What do you do? Has anyone got any other objections that they're hearing a lot of? I want to give you a moment. Is there anything here that I haven't asked yet? Or sorry, one that I haven't presented yet that you feel like you are dealing with? Or tell me which one is the biggest one for you. Go right ahead, open up your chat. I want to hear from you. What's the biggest objection that you're finding that you're dealing with? Timing and money. Thanks, Claire. No money. Yeah. Marianne gets, I get that. That's great for you. Okay. Yeah. So that might be a value. They don't see how the value is going to transfer to them and their lives. Yeah, Lisa, I think that's a really good point. Yeah. So Lisa wants to hear the biggest objections that you hear. Yeah. John Lynn says the MLM concept, or I've had a bad experience in the past. Yeah, definitely. Anything else out there? What are your biggest objections that you get? I'd love to hear from maybe 10 more people. No time. Yeah. And is that no time to hear or learn? Or is that it's not a good time for me right now, Claire? It's too hard to learn. Yeah. No support. It's too complicated. Okay, now we're hearing something. Okay, great. This is really good knowledge for us because this is feedback that we want to bring back to Healy to say, okay, so how do we help folks address the too complicated piece? Yeah, bad MLM experience. Yeah, definitely too complicated. Negative reviews on the internet. Yeah, that happens. Definitely. Thank you so much for sharing. Most are stuck in the comfort zone. Yes, they are. What does it really do? They don't understand the programs, how it works, what they're for. Okay. So we have some, Elisa, I would love to chat with you about some of these, because I think there's further tools that maybe we can support our field with. All right. So this is fantastic. Thank you so much. Keep putting them in there, because we're going to take that information back with us. Okay. I'm going to keep going because we only have 5 minutes or so left. So like I said, I'm not going to get through all of these slides, but what I am going to encourage you to do is, if you find that you're struggling with this particular objection, go ahead, take a screenshot. All right. So when it comes to the value objection, obviously you need to ensure that this is the real objection. All right. They have an awareness or a lack of knowledge. How can they understand the value if they're not familiar with it? Well, they need information, but enough to provide awareness, but not overwhelm. Ask them questions, okay? Make sure that you can meet a genuine need of theirs. And once you confirm that you can help, share the specific benefits that they might appreciate or the problems that you can solve, and share stories how people just like them have experienced that benefit or success. Let's look at the price one. This was a big one. Is this the real objection? All right. Do I fully understand what they need and value? Have I made a connection for them? Let them think about and share their thoughts on the price, and listen carefully for hints about what matters to them. Emphasize the benefits and value, and try to avoid defending the price. What you want to do is really start leaning heavily on the value, because what will happen is, all of a sudden, we are seeing in the modern consumer that people will pay a premium, even when they can't, when it's a stretch for them. So maybe they just need time to save up. Maybe there's a way in which they can get the Healy into their hands that, they just have to be creative about. Okay. We've got one for the timing. Again, always start with the same. Ask yourself, is this the real objection? Okay. Show them how quick and easy working with you can be. Let them know that you will support and help them. Okay. Or try to catch them at a better time. Keeping going. I'm just giving you a moment to take a screenshot. I'm already using this. Again, what is it that you like about whatever the competition is? Okay. Is there anything you wish it would do, but it doesn't? And then differentiate Healy. Okay. Again, giving you time to take a photo. The brush off. Share one thing you think they might be interested in before the conversation ends. Ask them if there's anything specific that they'd like to learn, and then ask permission. It's important for this particular objection, okay? Because you don't want to spam them, and you don't want to annoy them, okay? May I give you a call? May I catch up with you in 6 months? Could I send you an email? Perhaps I could add you to my Facebook group, and you'll hear from other people, not just me. Okay. Understand that maybe someone just doesn't want to hurt your feelings, but they're truly not interested. And then you need to respect that. Negative press. Oh, this is a big one. We actually have a full thing on negative press. Maybe one day we'll get a chance to share that with you, but really the key points, let them fully share their thoughts. Listen carefully and validate their experiences. Okay. You may love Healy. You may love, this community, but no company is perfect. Okay. And so what you don't want to be doing is being disrespectful or defensive. You want to be confident and respectful. Okay. And then show them specific things on how they would be in good hands. in your company, as part of your team, as part of this community. And the last one, the network marketing objection. Again, ask questions. What happened? Let them share their thoughts. Then give them real information, valid information. Counterbalance the misinformation that they've had or the poor experience that they've had with good information, okay? If they mention pyramid schemes, and I shared this in one of my very first webinars, the difference between a pyramid scheme and a valid and credible business, okay? Go back, watch the webinar. It's a really good one, all right? We got some really, really good feedback in that one. So if this is the objection you're dealing with most, I'm really going to highly recommend that you go back and rewatch that webinar. And really quickly, I know we've gone over by 2 minutes. I'll be done in just 2 or 3 minutes here, but I would like you to share with me some of the cringy things that network marketers have done to you. What are some of the ways in which they've answered those questions? Anything, you go ahead and share on chat, and I'm going to share our own list. Not listening when someone has concerns. Mounting your defenses before you understand the real objection. Not validating them. Promising free product because they say it's too expensive. That may not really apply here, but still cringy. Acting like they aren't worth your time. Exaggerating, we're the only company that can do that. Oh, it's true. Bad mouthing a competitor. Not getting back to them with answers to their objections and questions. Moving on, or just giving up. Properly respond, answer their questions, and you will build trust. Folks, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you with us. Jody is going to go ahead and put the survey in the chat. And I know this group doesn't really love to do these surveys, but I really, really, really need your feedback so that we will keep giving you this information. Make sure that you tell us if it was good, if you learned something from it. And remember that next month is going to be all about setting goals and creating a path to success, a perfect time to get this sort of in our mind at the end of the year so that we can jump into January and really hit the ground running. Look, we're on our 10th webinar next month. Wow. Of 15. So we've got some, 9 of them have already happened now, folks. So you want to make sure that you've seen them all and that you are sharing them with your teams. And a quick reminder that we have Rising Stars that is going to be a really interactive coaching experience. It is invite only, but it's going to be a really, really incredible experience, interactive experience that we're going to be launching in January. Thank you so much for being here. It has been my pleasure and honor to spend some of this time with you. I hope you found it valuable.
Folks, Shannon would absolutely love to stay connected with you. So if you haven't already done so, take a look in the chat. Underneath the link to the survey, I've put Shannon's social media contacts. So feel free, please, to connect with her outside of our session today. We hope you had a wonderful and valuable session, and we hope this leaves you wanting even more, so that we can continue to do this for you and provide you with the information that is going to help you to build your business. So thanks again, folks. I'm going to go ahead and turn the recording off. This recording should be up online for you in the next 24 to 48 hours. We'll do it as quickly as we possibly can, and we can't wait to see you at our next session. Thanks again, everybody.